Welcome to CSI St. Clair. Today, I would like to discuss a very serious issue with our school system. This is something you will never read about in the newspaper, but this is something that every taxpayer in this county should be aware of as we get ready to cast our vote in the March primary. Let me first say this is in no way a personal attack on anyone. I am simply stating the facts as they exist. With that being said, I want to explain why Angie Cobb should not be allowed to be a school board member for the St. Clair County Board of Education. Angie Cobb's husband worked in our school system for a number of years and was tenured in as an assistant principal. He left to go to work for the Alabama State Department of Education. On April 19th of 2010, Superintendent Jenny Seals recommended approval of the personnel agenda, which consisted of bringing Greg Cobb back into our system into a position conveniently titled Assistant Principal of Instruction. That position did not exist before this point. All board members voted in favor of the motion except Mrs. Cobb, who abstained from the vote. Section 2.11 of the St. Clair County Board of Education Board Policy states, to become one of the 7 members of the St. Clair County Board of Education elected to serve a 6-year term, the following criteria must be met, and there are 8 of them. But number 8 is what we have a problem with. The individual must have no direct or indirect financial or contractual interest in Board of Education matters. First off, we believe our superintendent was either being corrupt or completely ignorant to her own board policy for recommending such a clear and blatant violation of board policy. We believe every board member was wrong in voting to approve such a recommendation, except Mrs. Manning, because she was not on the board during that time. After Greg was voted in that night, Angie Cobb completely disqualified herself and should have stepped down from her position on the board. I have discussed this matter with several attorneys and even a county commissioner who all agree Angie should have stepped down that night and she should not be allowed to run again. I can almost guarantee the first argument you will hear from the board in regard to this is that Greg Cobb was tenured and they had to bring him back into the system. Yes, this is true to a point. The fact of the matter is they only had to bring him back in as a regular assistant principal, not to create some high-paying job at the central office and give it the title of Assistant Principal of Instruction to try to cover this up. By the way, he has a new title now, which is Administrator of Instruction. The superintendent and the board had many options to bring Greg back into the system, either as an assistant principal or a principal. Here's a few examples of where he could have been brought back into the system. On April 19, 2010, Greg Cobb was hired as Assistant Principal of Instruction. Also, that same night, Joe Goebel was changed from Odenville Intermediate Principal to Margaret Principal. There's the first opening that night. On May 17th, 2010, Constance Seymour was changed from Odenville Intermediate Assistant Principal to Principal. On June 21st, 2010, Christy Moore was non-renewed as a principal at ETC. Brand new opening. On July 19th, 2010, Ronnie McFarland was changed from Moody Junior High School contract principal to ETC principal. There's another one. On August 3rd, 2010, Donna Glover was changed from Moody Junior High School assistant principal to Moody Middle School assistant principal. And the same night, Cassandra Taylor was changed from Moody Middle School assistant principal to Moody Junior High School principal. And then number 6, August 30th, 2010, This is a brand new hire. They hired Ragland High School principal Roger Glenn. He could have been brought back in any of those positions. Instead, they chose to create a position up there just to, I guess, waste more money at the central office. This was all within a couple of months of April 19th. So as you see, the superintendent and the board had many options of bringing Greg Cobb back into the system rather than choosing to waste more money at the central office. But instead, our superintendent created a job that did not previously exist. Was this to keep Greg Cobb from running against her for superintendent? Was this to guarantee his wife Angie's yes votes? Since that time, Angie Cobb has never once voted against Seals. She has abstained a few times, but she has never once voted against Seals since her husband has been hired. I find that a little strange since before that, she did vote against her sometimes. And you can feel free to check this out. It's all in the board minutes. Here are a few examples of Angie's yes votes that we don't agree with. On July 18th of 2011, Ms. Seals recommended approval of low bidder 898 summer floor refinishing at Margaret Elementary School. Margaret's a brand new school. Shouldn't require any more than just a dusting. But somebody must have slipped up in the construction end of that. And of course, Ms. Seals is the one that was in charge of all of that stuff. Nobody else bid on this. It was only one person that bid. It was $2,300. Mr. DeGarris, Ms. Manning, and Mr. Green voted no. Mr. Suttle, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Gray voted yes, and Angie Cobb would have pretty much could have been the tiebreaker in that one. Of course, Angie voted yes. Completely disagree with that one. It should have been voted no all across the board, as far as I'm concerned. On September 19th, 2011, Ms. Seals recommended approval for low bidder 903 for custodial services at Margaret Elementary School. This is the one that I put a video out on, or actually it was a recording. They chose to spend $11,000 more than the lowest bidder just because the lowest bidder didn't have a business license. Realistically, in that thing, they should have all voted no and had it rebid. But I think it's odd that they let that thing pass. I don't know why, but Angie Cobb was a yes vote. So she chose to spend an extra $11,000, which I'm sure could have gone a lot of other places in this system. Regardless, Angie Cobb should have stepped down the night her husband was hired, and she should not be allowed to be on the ballot today. Many of you may really like Angie. You may think she's sweet, funny, great to be around. But that has nothing to do with whether or not she's eligible to be a board member. We have a lot of followers, and I know you are as dissatisfied as we are with what's going on within our school system. Even though you may like her personally, Angie is a Seals yes vote, and she contributes to the problems that we're having. On March 13, 2012, the ball is in your court. You have the power. You can get out and vote and make those changes. It's in our hands. It's a start. Once again, my name is Clay Cato, and on behalf of the Coalition for School Improvement, we've got serious problems, and we need to put serious people in office to change them. Thank you.